Mick, lots of work and maintenance to do to the truck this winter, so I filled the beer fridge for you. Can't wait to see you, bud. Dustin. Oh, it's time. Sorry, bud. Didn't mean to startle you.
Don't scare me.
What are you building there?
I was just doing some recycling.
Kind of looks to me like you're building a beer can house.
Oh, it's actually a mixed mansion.
Supplies, beer cans times 10,000. You realize that's only a 24-pack in there.
Not anymore.
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the truck has to come in this bay for literally all of the maintenance you were supposed to do during the season.
I've been maintaining a perimeter.
Feel good about that? Yes. And I'll be feeling even better after we start crossing some projects off the list. First things first, heat system. Pipes have been frozen for 3 weeks.
Do you mean like the poop tank's frozen?
No, you don't have to worry about the poop tank. But e-brake and exhaust brake.
What do you mean? I thought they were supposed to break.
Nope, just need them fixed.
Oh.
As well, the front end, basically brand new. Tires are cupping.
Yep, seen it before. Classic case of too much pulling into your mom's house.
Yeah, well, newsflash, that's your mom too.
Oh.
Here's a list. You are in charge of supplies.
Give me. To all of my longtime viewers, welcome back to the shop. To anybody that jumped on over the past season, welcome to the shop. This is actually where I built this truck, which was kind of a fascinating thing. The motorhome came in that bay, and that was home HQ. The truck came into this bay, and this was build HQ. Pretty much everything that went into this truck was a one-off custom build specifically for this rig. And I'm excited to say, and proud to say, that this first season was a huge success. We rolled out of the shop completely untested, and we basically did twice as much as I thought we would this season with almost no hiccups, fixes, or downtime. That being said, I left the shop on a much different time frame than I had expected. I thought I'd be able to build this truck in about 3 months, and it ended up taking about 4 for the overall build, and then 2 whole months of pretty much daily trial and error. Of course, I did expect a few hiccups because the truck had just sat for so long before I acquired it, but it seemed like every time I turned the key on this thing, there was diesel or oil coming out of somewhere new, and sometimes at a pretty alarming rate. By the time I got this thing sealed up and mechanically solid, I was pretty much broke. So I had to get this thing on the road, get the channel going again, get the business going again full time. So unfortunately, we did our first season with an unfinished rig. This is my full-time home, and I don't have curtains on the windows. I'm still running worn out old batteries from the motorhome. There's broken fiberglass. It's mostly little things, but it's still stuff that I think is a priority to finish, especially just for my own comfort living in the rig. Aside from just some maintenance and some repairs, there's a few things that I want to change or upgrade to the rig, and then of course we'll be adding some stuff as well. So the winter plan, I think it's kind of a variety of exciting things. We need some time in the shop. That's an inevitability, and I'm gonna film those projects as best I can for the channel. And then I wanna get this thing ready for some real winter adventures. And I mean, I want this truck to be reliable, sustainable, comfortable in -20. Nevertheless, Canada is still a really big challenge to travel full time in a rig in the winter, so we are going to be left with a little bit of downtime, but I have some neat ideas for some culture trips abroad, but we'll dive into that when the time comes. So that is the basic plan for this winter. Of course, I'm pretty dedicated to the no plan still, so if any neat opportunities come my way, we'll definitely jump on them. Unfortunately, I've had to prioritize a couple of projects and just get them done without filming them. I dropped a couple of hints, but I've been having issues keeping the rig warm and the water system, especially temperatures below -10. So I had to just get rolling on that. So I've got my trusty GoPro here. I'm just gonna walk you through the original system that I built last winter, the issues I've identified, and how I'm solving them. Let's go for a walk. We'll go around to this side. It'll be a little easier for you guys to see. I was adamant right from the beginning that I wanted my primary heater to be diesel air. Not that there's anything wrong with the onboard furnace, it's just a huge consumer of propane and power. And propane is one of my consumables that I really do have to watch because that's how I cook my food and it powers my fridge. So I put this diesel air heater right there, and then it was plumbed underneath the cabinets and the camper, and then it came up underneath the table. And the plumbing I used was this aluminum ductwork. Two problems: that ducting has no insulation, so I was experiencing a lot of heat loss through that. And the diesel air heater is always just pulling ice cold air from the compartment and then putting it into the camper. So it's never actually gonna meet its full potential. So the idea was to put a second heater actually inside the rig, which is what I did. Sorry, it's kind of harsh lighting in here, but this summer when Curtis was visiting on Haida Gwaii, we went to make the table bed and the table ripped right out of the floor, so I had to rebuild this section anyways. So the idea was to put a diesel air heater underneath, and it turned out so good. All this got torn out. I put in a new floor and I rebuilt the box that goes around, rebuilt the base of the table as well, and then put the diesel air heater in. The end right here is adjustable, so I can point it towards the back if I'm going to shower, or up towards the front for bedtime. This is my intake for the air. So it basically just cycles that air. It gets warmer and warmer and warmer. There's no potential for loss at all. My controller is right here, which is really nice because before it was out in the pass-through compartment, so I had to go in and out to adjust anything. I also put a controller up by the bed so I can turn it up and down and off from the bed. I redid all of my wiring down here as well. These are all wires that need AC to power, but then they go to different devices around the rig, like hot water heater and Starlink, things like that. So that all got plumbed in. They just lived under here before, and then I'd have to lift this every time I wanted to use one. Now they're all accessible right behind there. It's about as clean as I can make it, but I'm happy with it. The other thing that I did is, when I was first designing my heat system for this rig, I thought it would be great down low because of course heat rises. One thing I didn't consider is this bed area. When I'm flying down the highway at -13 or whatever, that gets so cold. I have a memory foam mattress up there. It's literally like crawling into bed on a block of ice. So I did put a heated blanket in there underneath a tiny little foam topper. So like 20 minutes before bed, I'll turn that on and it's like a little oven in there. It's awesome. Now, this other diesel air heater. You're wondering probably what's going on with that thing. It's got big plans. Let me grab a creeper. All right, now this diesel air heater that comes out underneath the pass-through has big plans. I'm very excited about it. It's just not working yet, but comes out right here. I have 2 outlets going into 1.5 inch PVC. It can handle the temperature. Don't worry, I've already looked into it. It's nicely insulated all the way to the back. The spare tire is not in the holder right now because I was doing this work, but then this goes up through here, all these angles, and then into the tanks compartment. Both of those heaters are installed, plumbed, and wired. They each have their own fuel pump, but they're sharing the same tank in here. I'm not overly happy with that because the tank is so small. It's just really hard to find something that can fit in there, and it's almost $1,000 to get one custom made. I'm also learning all of this as I'm going along, and I am having issues with the tank's heater. The heater itself does not have enough pressure to push that air all the way to the back. So I found on Amazon a little 2-inch inline duct fan. I'm going to do some testing with that. It should be here in about a week, and hopefully I can put that at the very end of my system, and it will compensate the loss of air pressure for the rest of the pull through those, or the push through those pipes. Now you probably have 2 questions. Why don't I just move the diesel air heater further back? And how am I going to power 2 diesel air heaters with those old batteries? Well, I have an answer for that, for both of those. I'm upgrading to a monster of a battery. 400 amp hour lithium phosphate battery. I'm also learning how lithium phosphate works, and it needs to stay a little bit warmer than lead acid. So this diesel air heater will heat, let me go to the other side. This will heat the tanks at the back as well as this compartment, so then the batteries will stay nice and warm, and I can keep my gear warm and dry in here as well. What I didn't realize is how different a lithium phosphate battery is from a lead acid battery. So I've confirmed my solar panels and charge controller with Bouge RV are going to work well with this, but I did have to get a different regular backup charger as well. I've been really trying to educate myself on how these lithium phosphate systems work, but I'm still learning a lot. So I'm not going to make this video as an educational video. If you guys are thinking about converting over to lithium, please do your research because I'm not a great resource for that. But I will tell you, with my rig, I never actually plug this thing in, so my converter inside it only ever runs 12 volt, so I don't have to worry about switching out my converter. It's mostly just the charging system that you have to look into. But that's the rest of today's plan. Getting this battery in and fixing all of my terrible wiring. Look at this mess of wires on here. And these are heavy. I'm really lucky I never ran into any issues with all the wiring I did in the pass-through. None of it's going through fuses or is really done correct or clean. Now that I'm upgrading batteries, I'm going to redo all of that wiring, and I'm running it through a neat little fuse box. Haven't used one of these before, but it looks pretty straightforward. Then I should never have to worry about it again. All right, everything is done and installed. I'm really happy with that wiring. I'm not a wiring person, so these are slow, painful jobs for me, but it came out super clean. And I think it's done correct, which is really nice. Now it's time to do some systems testing, so we're gonna head out and just find a nice place to camp. Even though my back heater's not completely, well, I'm just waiting on that fan, but the heater will still run. Just about lost that coffee. So we're gonna go out and just run both heaters overnight, see how well that battery holds up. Turned into a beautiful sunny day today, but these winter days are getting shorter and shorter. It's only 2:30 in the afternoon, sun's setting already. Not a huge deal. I think we're gonna go out to Farwell Canyon to spend the night. Just beautiful out there. And I've heard that the Fraser River's at an all-time low right now, and you can see the old Sheep Creek Bridge sitting down in the bottom of the river. Definitely want to fly the drone and check that out, but I think by the time we get camp set up, she'll be dark. Welcome to the Sheep Creek Bridge. I've always really enjoyed this spot. It's just a beautiful structure over a beautiful river, and you've always been able to see the old cement foundation in the background, as well as the stone support pillars, but I never knew that there was a bridge deck down there. Spoiler alert, I've already flown the drone and confirmed it's down there. And we're almost out of daylight, so we won't be able to enjoy, or we won't be able to film the drop down into Farwell Canyon, but we can definitely take a little tour down, see the old bridge deck. Probably be the only chance we ever get. Pretty crazy when you look at these pillars from the bridge. They don't look that big. And then this one has this cable on it, and we used to climb the cable up to the top of the pillar. That's quite high, actually. Wow, can you believe it? There it is. So the crazy thing about the Fraser River, it's like 1,300 kilometers long. And these narrow sections, it's unbelievable how much the water will change. Like in high water season, the water is up on these pillars at the bottom. Now look at that. That's a good 20 feet difference and a tremendous amount of water. Been back and forth from town pretty much every day, getting parts and supplies. And I've been asking around about this, and nobody has ever seen the river so low that actually exposes this old bridge deck or support system or whatever you want to call it. Winter's coming though. Well, I did put the drone way up in the air and look directly down to see how far this thing goes, but it's too murky to see. I'd have to assume the whole thing's there, because you gotta think with the amount of current here, it would have drifted down, kind of settled right around there. Anyways, there's a bridge deck. I've always been curious how conversations went back in the day when they were demolishing things. Just imagine they're like, what do you want to do with the old bridge? Well, just explode it. Well, then what about all the stuff? Why not just leave it? Look at this one. I always think she's gonna fall. My whole life it's been just teetering up there. I can't believe every year it just keeps on trucking. Just thriving.
I'm not cold, you're cold. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to officially welcome you to Farwell Canyon with an important announcement. Dropping in! Okie dokie. Systems testing day is officially underway. Everything's running. Let's go over some figures. I have both tanks or both heaters on the lowest setting. I don't expect it to really do much for the tanks tonight. I did put a thermometer in there. It's sitting right at 0. I mostly just want to see the effect it has on the battery. My hot water tank and water heater, it has a setting for winter so it just doesn't freeze. Tonight will be the first time I test that out. It's minus 11 outside, a little bit colder than I thought. It'll probably get to minus 14 tonight. Inside the rig, we're at a toasty plus 18. That's on level 1 for the heater. I think it's gonna have to get quite cold before I have to bump that one up. But let's see what our battery's doing. I've done a little bit more research with these lithium phosphate batteries, and you can utilize the power to like minus 40, but it will only take a charge above freezing. It has a battery management system in it, so that's all hands-free. Right now we're sitting at 13.3 volts, which is full charge. The pass-through is currently 20 degrees Celsius. So that it should be 20 degrees in the tanks compartment as well. We'll get there. I did do one night of testing with both heaters on with my lead acid batteries, and by morning I was down to 34%. So I know those old batteries are getting tired, but I'm excited to see what this lithium phosphate's gonna do. I think it's gonna be an early night for me. I might do some editing and then probably just head to bed. I'll see you guys in the morning. We'll check on the batteries. Well, good morning, everybody. I trust you stayed toasty warm in the pass-through because it's currently 23 degrees Celsius in there. And I am stoked to say this new battery is a game changer. Let's go over some stats. Both heaters ran all night long. The battery this morning was still 13.3 volts. Didn't drop a single volt all night long. When I woke up this morning, the rig was hovering right between 22 and 23 degrees Celsius, almost a little bit too warm actually. It's clouded over a little bit today, so I think we're sitting right around minus 7, but the solar's still pulling in 1.02 amps right now. Looking great. My only concern is the amount of diesel that 2 heaters burn. But I have some ideas how we're gonna get around that. It sure is beautiful out here this time of year, right before freeze up. We really only came out here to test the batteries, and it passed with flying colors, so I think we'll enjoy a little bit of nature and then mosey back into town.
I am happy to say that cold weather systems testing phase 1 was a huge success. A little bit of tweaking to the heat system I think will be up and running. The battery system is far superior to what I was expecting. If you guys want to take a closer look at that battery, I'll have a link down in the description. But most of all, thanks for watching, everybody. As always, take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but footprints, and I'll catch you on the next one. Chew with me.